when I came across Alex in a very short period of time, in terms of like one conversation, I felt as though he was able to realign some of the things that I was doing, help me prioritize them, but in a way that allowed me to see it as a business owner on what's best for me. Not just my business, but then also for me personally. And so going into this year, I am on a new trajectory. But here's what's interesting. He has basically taken all the things that I've been putting together and he didn't recreate, reinvent, because it's still all JJ the CPA. What he's done is just tweak it in a way like I hadn't seen before so that we can all fit it into what we're doing together. So I've got Alex here with me. Alex, welcome. Thank you so much for being on here, and we get to share a little bit of the story, but more importantly, share a little bit about you.
Absolutely. No, thanks so much for having me. And, we met through a great friend of ours and a client of mine, Christy Van. And she always, even before you started really working with her and helping her out, she had amazing things to say about you. And I've even watched your videos, throughout the years. And so I'm really excited for this opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Well, you bet. And one of the things with Christy being a part of the channel and you watching back in the years is a big part of the JJ the CPA is wanting to help small businesses and wanting to help tax professionals. And so many of us are busy, not just with life, but then the business that we have in play. And so sometimes when we think about taking on something new, all of a sudden we go, well, how is that going to fit in? And like I had told you earlier, Alex really had a way of helping me align what I'm doing to find an opportunity to scale without taking away from the core aspect, not only of my life and free time and family, but with my business, so that I'm able to find that balance. But I'm telling you, as a CPA, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, some of the major advantages to having a online business. And know this, my online business aspect is directly what I am doing day to day. So it's not like I came up with something necessarily new. Now you may, but Alex, give us a little bit of background, if you would, just how you got to where you're at. And I will just say it, just given that I'm in my 50s, you're younger than me. But with that, you really have had a huge amount of experience online and helping tons and tons of small business owners just like myself.
Absolutely. I think people look at my, baby face and they're like, how do you have, because I've been doing this for 9 years and they're like, you look like you're 21. So 21 minus 9, like you started when you're 13. But, I've been doing this since I was 18 years old at my church. It was a men's group of like entrepreneurs and people like that. I was the young guy in the group. And, they were trying to start kind of an online business and they needed some help marketing with Facebook ads and stuff like that. They're like, hey, we'll give you a few grand. Like, we'll help you kind of start things out. We'll be your guinea pig and vice versa. And I'm like, guys, I've never done this before. I'm pretty resourceful. Like, I figured things out. But it just planted the seed and it worked out extremely well. And I didn't then at that point think I'm going to be an online marketer. It just organically grew, just like a lot of businesses. You start something and then 9 years later, it progresses into something a lot different. But I've worked with, at this point, 1,200 clients, a lot of people you can look up on YouTube. And a lot of my clients are people that are watching this video. They're traditional business owners. They're not trying to start some online get rich quick sort of deal. It's like I work with plastic surgeons, doctors, lawyers, CPAs, people that you would think, how can they scale a business online? And so a lot of what I help clients with is, yes, marketing online, because if you generate more demand, if you have that leverage, you can select who you work with, how you work with them, what you charge them. But I think a lot of the time, even aside from the marketing, it's how do you then set up an offer that's scalable? Because when you think about scale with a lot of traditional businesses, that means hiring more CPAs, hiring more attorneys, or getting more office space, more insurance, more liability and overhead. But with an online offer that's attached to your existing business, you can market it online, scale it online. So not only is it a revenue driver, it's extremely profitable revenue. And so I've developed that niche over the years, but I work with people like, Stephen Gardner. He was a certified financial planner, started with me at 0. Now he's at 1.88 million subscribers. Dr. Jason West, he's a doctor, I think, in Idaho, 70,000 subscribers. Christy Van, Dr. Turley. So I've worked with people in different areas and just helping them kind of like you said, get unstuck, number one, but then figure out what are the opportunities to impact more people, scale the business online, and make it a win-win.
And the big thing that I remember hearing from you when I first was on the seminar with you and Christy Van was that you talked about that this is not about overnight success. And, so many times when I'm working with small business owners, they can easily get discouraged, or they have kind of this mindset that they have to hit this certain level of success very, very quickly. And when anybody maybe is not a business owner and they're thinking about being a business owner, there's very small steps to take. But what I enjoyed working with you is that you had a way to still put this all into small steps that were very chewable. I'll just say it that way. And with that, though, we moved very quickly. And what I enjoyed was you worked at my pace, even though you really kind of kept me accountable and still are as we're moving forward with some opportunities. But, speak to that a little bit, because again, so many will maybe think, well, I've got to make $1 million within 60 days. And it's like, why do we even need to make $1 million? Why can't we scale a business that's just an add-on to the revenue? It's just another stream. It doesn't have to be a replacement. It's not about being able to be on a yacht and all the glamour. So just because you're going online, what I'm saying was, this isn't about quote unquote getting rich, so to speak, in terms of, okay, if that happens, but why can't that take a year? Why can't that take time just like any other business? So share a little bit more about that.
You're exactly right. I think sometimes people set these huge goals and they give themselves 6 months to do it, or 3 months, right? I didn't make up this quote, but people underestimate what they can do in 5 or 10 years, but they overestimate what they can do in 3 to 6 months in a business. And if you look at even someone like Abraham Lincoln, if you look at, I think it's on his like tombstone or something, but it's like 1931, failed business, 1932, failed to run for Congress. And it's like fail, fail, fail. And then he's one of the best presidents of all time 30 years later. So I think people get discouraged because they see maybe even someone like me or you, and they see like the material success that's very like verifiable. It's happening. But then they're like, okay, so I want that now. I want the HGTV house tomorrow, and I don't like to say unrealistic, but it's unrealistic in that time frame. So like you're saying, it's like, if you want to make $1 million in a business, there's nothing wrong with that, but why not make your first $10,000 online?
Right.
Then once you hit that, you can make your next 20, then 40, then 80, and then it's organic and it's natural. Like I have here the 2 Comma Club, ClickFunnels, like $1 million in 1 year with just one specific funnel. But that was in my like 6th or 7th year in business, So I even told clients, hey, that's great, but that didn't happen in even, again, the first 5 years of my business. If you look at most businesses when they start out, you're trying to make a profit, you're trying to grow. But that's why I work with a lot of clients who are, yes, starting their business, but they already have a company and they just want to scale it online. So it's the best time to do it, because you don't need it to work right away, right? You already have cash flow. You already have a business that's running. So while that's working still, you want to then invest into the online aspect of your business, because it can take 24 months and you're not rushing. You don't need to make the money tomorrow. So you're exactly right.
Yeah. And, a part of that is, I was online. I had a YouTube channel for 2 years before we got above 1,500 subscribers. And I probably only had a few thousand total views after a couple of years. My wife and I poured a lot of time and effort into that and all the social media platforms. But then the opportunity came with the type of information that I was delivering and the style that I delivered it, that there finally was a spark, if you will. And there's still been just slow, sustainable growth. And really, then you would say that my YouTube success has now been 5 years in the running, but still just very up, up, up. And quite frankly, I still put videos out there that may only have a few hundred views. But, the other thing that we hear a lot, me working with small business as well as you, is, well, I don't really have this is what we will hear. I don't really have a presence. I'm not sure really what I would talk about, or I'm not really good on camera, or I'm shy. And I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about that. But I know that when I'm talking with clients, I say, but listen, the way you deliver it, your tone, your style, your level of interest, whatever that is, there is a segment of the market that is just like you, very similar to you. There are people on YouTube that are CPAs or providing tax or financial information, and they're wearing a hoodie, and they've got, neon sign, and they're young, and you wonder if they even have credentials. And then you have some that, it's somebody older, it's very dry and slow. And my point is that these are examples of people that are successful because there's an audience for everybody, no matter what you think you want to compare yourself to.
Exactly. But I think the main thing is just before you get over that hump, it's the fear of embarrassment. It's like, oh, what if my coworkers, or what if my employees or my clients, they see these videos? And you got to look at me. I was the kid in school that I would rather skip that specific class than do a 30-second presentation. Like, when you go around school and you have like a big textbook and everybody's reading like a few lines, I would wait till it's like 3 people away from me and I'd be like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm scared, So you're not talking to someone that's a naturally born public speaker. But I said, you know what? I think if I look back at the end of my life, I'm going to regret not getting over the fear. When I was even 18 years old, I took Toastmasters. I failed. I did videos that were awful. I wish I could wipe them from the internet. And now I've done like 2,000 videos. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable and I have a good rhythm. But I think people think, oh my gosh, but what if this, what if that? And it's like, yeah, what if you do nothing and your business doesn't grow? You don't make the impact that you want. And then you look back in 20, 30 years and you're like, what if I could have done that? If you talk to any person that's 70, 80, 90 years old, they, yes, have amazing memories, but they also have regrets of what they didn't do. Nobody's going to regret, hey, I gave it my best shot for 10 years and it didn't work out for me, but it is what it is. People that say, oh, YouTube doesn't work for me, or I'm not good on camera. It's like, oh, how many videos have you done? It's like 5 or like 10. It's never 1,000. Like you've probably done at least 1,000, if not thousands, plural, So I think the best advice I can give someone is, yes, think long-term. Think, of course, yes, about fear. I'm motivated by fear. What if I don't do this? I'm not going to achieve this goal. I'm not going to get there. And of course, I have fear of failure and embarrassment, but that fear is bigger. So sometimes the fear of not taking action should supersede your kind of short-term, relatively minor fears that you can get over.
And to your point, that's all great. The thing that I remember hearing when I first got started was no one's watching in the beginning anyways, and in a good way, in a way to go, hey, you're right. It's nerve-wracking, but no one's really watching in the beginning. And so that's why you have time to basically get better and better and more polished. You can always take things down. As much as we think people are running out to watch anything that we're putting up there, I will tell you this, I have over 1,000 clients in my private CPA practice, and I guarantee most of them still to this day have not watched a YouTube video. Most of my friends don't. And the only reason to say that is they're getting the information directly from me. One of the things that also I really enjoyed when we connected, and really, even though I've been familiar with you for a while, we really got started probably 60 days ago. And you have taken me lightning fast, but it never has felt like we've been in a rush in terms of just, okay, this seems easy. Why would I worry about trying to have a private conversation with Alex? I get it. I need to put some videos up. But you really have a strategy, not that I'm going to allow you to give away your secrets here, but you really have a strategy by taking somebody's strengths, what they've already done, hearing what they want to do, and saying that back to them away, but in steps, but then coming up with the rest of the structure that goes along with it. And so part of what made it palatable, easy to chew, as they would say, is that you did all that. And then you said, okay, so I want you to set this up. Let's get that done. And let's get that done. 20 minutes later, those 3 things are done. And you're like, well, let's do this and let's do this. And then you just brought it along. And then before I know it, we're off and running to the first step. And I'll say this, we're already at approaching maybe around 6 figures on something that I've been doing for the last 4 years. But you just made it go this direction, and it is now literally 4 times more profitable than what I've been doing in the past, just from you basically coming up with the strategy based on your experience.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people seek advice online, whether it's from coaches or consultants, and the way they deliver it most of the time is, hey, I have the secrets, so go watch 1 million videos of mine that you're going to pay 50 grand for, and then go figure it out. And if you don't figure it out, you're not hardworking enough. And if they give you support, it's on a 3-hour long group coaching call, and you have to wait 3 hours to ask a 2-minute question. So I study the industry and I say, how can I take parts of that and implement it into what I do? So you can agree with kind of my method that I don't really give information or knowledge. Everybody has the knowledge. Everybody knows what they should be doing. I don't need to send you 100 hours of videos to tell you, yeah, we should be doing X, Y, and Z. Like you're saying, it's palpable. So it's ambitious, but attainable action steps. It's like, just in the next 2 weeks, just do X, Y, and Z. We'll get the rest of the alphabet. We'll do A, B, C, and everything else, right? So it's kind of a hybrid, right? Because I have clients that they don't want to become expert marketers, right? They don't want to do ClickFunnels. They don't want to do all the email marketing. They know they should be doing it, but then they need to find the who. Just like with what you do and your son, people shouldn't really try to figure out their taxes. They should find the who. They should find the person that eats and breathes and lives taxes, and that's what they do for a living. So that's why when I work with clients, like you're saying, it's the action steps that they take that's going to help them grow faster. But also we take care of everything else, so it makes it realistic. Like even, people that have a business, a family, they work out, they go to church, like they have lives, they have to maintain their house. They don't have time to become an expert marketer, but they have 2 hours a week to accomplish little tasks here and there that can help them grow slowly but surely. So they look, like you're saying, in 2 months or 3 months, and they're like, this is more progress than I've made in 5 years, but it's because of the structure of the strategy and the actual support that they're getting from us.
Yeah. And the great thing with everything you said there is that I am not just talking with you to hear what you're doing. I have lived it and know that you are doing it. And I know we want to spend a few minutes in the time that we've got allocated here talking about how you can help others and what we're doing moving forward, because I really want to share with those that trust me, my trust in you. But, when we're now talking about somebody who has an existing business, or they have an existing job, or, I'm a full-time parent. I don't know how I'm going to have time. I don't know if I want to add something to my schedule. And so a lot of times, maybe they don't have the fear. Maybe they're not worried about the experience. Quite frankly, they may even think, well, I would know how to market this. So many people know. But just to your point, it's like, okay, great. But what have you done? How long have you been talking about this? And really, how do you then take this step forward? Because many is, well, I'll do it next month. I'll do it next year, or when the kids are finally left the house, or whatever the case is, then I'll do it. And it's all kind of based on this perception of a lack of time, which is a reality. But how do you approach that? Share a little bit about that.
So I think there's never a perfect time to do anything. People, like you're saying, they wait to start working out, to build their business, to do anything in life. So there's never a perfect time. But I think the second best time is when you don't need to see the results. I think when people are busy with their kids or their life or even their job or business, that's the best time to start something like this, because you're just planting seeds, right? You're not expecting it to go overnight, boom, success. I've actually seen people that have almost too much time, and they think, oh my gosh, like I'm putting all my time into this, like it should be growing faster. And it's like with YouTube or building an online brand, it's like, it doesn't really matter if you put 30 hours a week or 3 hours a week. It's just going to take time for the algorithm to grow regardless, right? So people have 3 hours a week. If people look at their screen time of TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, and everything like that, if it's important enough, the success you want to have, the impact that you want to have, or whatever your why is, I hope that's more important than those tasks, right? So we all have even 5 hours a week. That's like 45 minutes a day. We all have the time. I think it's just more the commitment. If you're interested, then maybe you don't have the time. If you're interested in having a 6-figure, online business, maybe you don't have the time. But if you're 100% committed, anybody watching this can truly make it happen, with or without someone like me. So I think it's just about deciding, I'm committed. I'm going to be successful with this. I'm going to do what's required. And that's honestly for anybody in business or starting a business, they need to do that anyway. So you have to make that commitment, and then the time will magically appear.
Yeah. And the other part of that is, at least for me, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun.
Mhm.
Even though I still have the same struggle as everybody else with time, it's something though that I want to make time for if I'm enjoying it, if it's already a part of what I do. And that's the other thing that I like about knowing who else you're working with is that you're not just working with you're not just working with somebody in a very specific industry and then just making that type of personality,
Mhm.
that type of industry now online. You're taking somebody and their experience and what they can bring to the table and then putting that into a way that is quote unquote turning into a business. The last thing I'll just say, just from the CPA's perspective, is that, with an online business, you were talking earlier, but I don't require not extra staff, but I'm not requiring extra space and extra expenses. So many don't realize, but the power of social media is that it is all free. Now, of course, we know you can buy ads, but part of it being free is it needs to fit in that algorithm. And the algorithm means really this: there is an audience interested in what it is that you're sharing. And here's the thing: there's an audience for every single thing. But the folks that, in my opinion, really have an online business, and whether it's on social media prevalently or not, are the ones that stuck with it. It took time because the algorithm, right? It has to learn who your audience is. And I'll just tell you this as a minor example with my YouTube videos. When I put a YouTube video, it probably gets 300 views right away. But if I look up in about a year, it's going to have 10,000 views. And when I look up in a year, it's going to have 20,000 views. And now I have a little bit going over and over and over. So it's not about the instant success. Alex, talk about what we're going to be doing together moving forward, because I'm so confident in what you've done for me to want to share it with others, which I don't say lightly, because if you notice, you're my first guest on a podcast. You're the first person I've ever introduced to my audience, if you will, to my friends and family, this subscribership, fans, etc. Somebody else that's been doing something for me as a CPA. I'm very protective. And from that perspective, it takes a long time for me to get comfortable. But so quickly, you have really changed my perspective and my online business that I didn't want to wait. This is something that I feel very comfortable sharing with others. So how are we moving forward? I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on that.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that opportunity, even just to make this video, because you built up your audience over many years. You've been in business for, decades, even though you look like you're 35. You've been in business for like 35 years. But having said that, I appreciate that, like you're saying, you built up the trust and you're willing to share me and kind of my message with your audience. JJ and I are hosting a totally free webinar. It's actually in exactly 1 week from the recording of this video, the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's totally free. It's going to be 1 hour. There's no even like course to buy with it, but we just wanted to go more in depth on the exact marketing funnel, like actual strategies on the screen. Like I'm going to share my screen, show you different results and just how it can apply to your business. There's going to be a Q&A. So again, it's something where skip the Netflix that night, skip the NFL game if that's on. Let's just spend an hour together, totally free, virtually on, Zoom like this. And we'll just talk about, again, your business and how it could work. And we'll just have a great time. So that's next week, the 28th at 7 o'clock. And we'll have a link somewhere on this video or wherever you're watching this. And if it's in an email where you can register for free, and we're looking forward to it.
One of the things that I enjoy whenever I'm doing a seminar, I know you do the same. Now, there's really power in attending live, and there's really something about being able to participate, because anytime we've done this seminar that you've lined up for us, or I've been a part of the seminars you've done with Christy, is that you have a really unique way of just bringing the audience together and kind of giving thought-provoking interactions that allow the audience to be involved in this. And so there's something really just kind of magical, probably sounds corny, but
engaging. I try to be engaging for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the, hey guys, thanks for coming on, let me do an hour-long presentation. I try to do polls and Q&As, because sometimes I could tell somebody, this is how you should be thinking, or think about this. But when I have people answer polls and I have them do exercises, sometimes it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know I thought like that, or I need to really shift this. So it is a more, like you're saying, thing, or maybe magical process, but it's just like you're saying, it's something where people fly by and it's like, oh my gosh, this was an hour. Like it felt like 10 minutes. And that's the whole idea behind it.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Everybody, mark your calendars right now. We get busy. Alex and I are going to spend some time wanting to put this together that's very impactful for you, that you'll have takeaways. I definitely recommend having some pencil and paper. Take a few notes, especially for some of the follow-up. And related to that, we definitely want you to just right now sign on the link, because the best way to take any step into making a change or a consideration or avoiding a regret or getting over a fear is action. And the smallest action can create the biggest impact. I want you to think of a pebble in a pond, but how far that ripple would go. And all I'm getting at is the pebble in the pond. The initial action that you can take here is click, simple sign up, and attend. And now this is you taking that first step forward in finding an opportunity to scale, to go online, to improve maybe your life, but improve your business. And again, this sounds as corny as can be, but people, you know me, you've been watching me for a long time. This is an opportunity for you to change your life. And so we hope that we get to see you live when Alex and I are coming together to share this with you. Alex, any final thoughts?
I couldn't do it as good as you, even if I tried on a great day. So no, I really appreciate the opportunity for coming on this video. Hopefully people enjoy this conversation. Hopefully they sign up for the webinar. And thank you again. I appreciate it.
You bet. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing you then. Hopefully you've already clicked, you've already signed up. Be sure to mark your calendar, because you don't want to miss this. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love to see you there. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met anybody quite like you, and you've never met a CPA quite like me. You have a great one.